All right, hold up. Can y'all hear me? Does it look funny? What it do? What it do? We about to get it going. Just a second. Let me try to get everything together. Okay, so if you are here, can you let me know in the comments what's up? If you can hear me. In the middle, Jada. Yeah, it's so much going on. This case is crazy. I'm good. All right, cool. I'm good. All right, so I'm doing it a little different today. I'm live streaming from my actual camera. Because I'm trying to stream from like YouTube, TikTok, all of that. You feel me? So bear with me one time for the one time. What it do? Didn't know you were covering. Yeah, I'm covering. We're gonna do this. Now y'all know I'm new to the little live thing, especially when it comes to YouTube, so y'all gotta forgive me. But we're gonna make it happen, Captain. Hey, thank you guys so much for pulling up one time for the one time. I'm so excited to be here. Under these circumstances, I don't know. Y'all was waiting for me to say something. All right. How could he not be guilty? I mean, right? You popped up. I said, let me see. Hey y'all. Okay, so boom, what's good? Y'all already know what it is. We're gonna get into this Tory Lanez verdict today. This just in. Damn, that's how LA. What you talking about? Now my baby daddy in the comments trolling already. We just got started. What's up, y'all? I told y'all lawyers you had the cases so wrong. All right, boom. So let's get into it. So, LA, yeah. Okay, that is how we get down. So 2 days before Christmas, Tory Lanez has been convicted of all 3 charges in which he had pending, right? So Tory Lanez was charged with discharging a firearm with gross negligence, assault with a semi-automatic firearm, and carrying an unregistered loaded firearm in a vehicle. All right. Now, the big one here, the big ticket item in this case, the felony is going to be the assault with a semi-automatic firearm, right? So Tory is facing up to 22 years in prison. In addition to that, he is also facing deportation because he's not from here. He's from Canada. Someone says, does Megan have a case against the blogs for defamation? She may. So defamation, especially when it comes to a celebrity, you have to prove that the blog gave out false information, right? And they intentionally did it, and they didn't care whether or not the information was true, right? And so that's kind of how defamation works. There's a lot of elements to that. She may or may not have a case, right? It's just going to depend on some of the context in which people were talking and all of that. So we will see. It's crazy, right? 2 days before Christmas. Okay. 2 days before Christmas. And Tory Lanez is now in a Los Angeles County jail. Being from Los Angeles, knowing how raggedy Los Angeles County jails are, I don't wish I don't nobody. 2 days before Christmas, right? Baby daddy, I see you talking about he's going to appeal. He will likely appeal. But coming from somebody who has been fighting a wrongful conviction for the last 16 years, I can tell you right now that appeal will take some time. When you appeal a decision in a criminal case, you are arguing that your constitutional rights were violated during the trial, which basically means that there was some part of the procedure, the criminal procedure that occurred, that basically like it was out of bounds. He was out of bounds. Like, y'all not supposed to be doing this in trial, right? Maybe like the judge made a ruling that was against your constitutional rights. Maybe a jury member did some foul, right? But it has to be something that is within the transcripts of of the case, right? And so if it's not within them four walls, you're not arguing nothing about the, let me move my computer. Can y'all hear me okay? I'm gonna move my computer real quick so I can see y'all better, so I can see the comments better, because it's out of balance for me and I can't take it. I feel like I'm looking everywhere and I need to be looking in one space. Give me about 2 seconds. Give me about 2 seconds. Somebody said, "Who, the shade room? Shade room don't care." Y'all got to be careful. This is the thing. Everybody was an internet lawyer this week. Everybody and their mama was an internet lawyer this week, right? But the reality is that lawyers are lawyers. The jury had what the jury had. The lawyers did their thing in trial, and the jurors basically, they agreed with the prosecution. A man who is not guilty don't send all kinds of apology texts after the fact. Well, that's debatable, right? Because we don't necessarily know what he was apologizing for, right? So it's never been stated that he apologized and said, "Oh, I'm sorry for shooting you," or anything like that. He just apologized for the situation. Now, there's so much that happened in this trial that a lot of people are like, there was so much reasonable doubt, right? So first of all, one of the big things was Kelsey's testimony. Kelsey was very inconsistent in her testimony and the things that she said when the situation first happened compared to what she said on the stand the other day, right? That was like a lot of reasonable doubt for a lot of people. That was reasonable doubt for a lot of people because nobody really put the gun in Tory's hand. But here's the thing. And this is what got me about Kelsey's testimony is Kelsey testified and said, "Well, I didn't see Tory shoot, or I don't know why I said Tory shot," right? But that would have left either you, Kelsey, or the driver to have been the shooter in this case, right? Because there was only two other people that could have possibly have shot that gun. Mind you, Kelsey got immunity. As soon as Kelsey got to court to testify that day, she was like, "I'm not testifying." Okay, this is what I'm hearing. Now, we got a lot of third-party information because, and it's hearsay really, but we got a lot of third-party information because they did not allow cameras in the courtroom during this trial. But long story short story long, Kelsey got up on the stand and said, "I'm not saying nothing. I don't want to talk to nobody. I'm not playing with y'all because, well, I'm not trying to get in trouble. Y'all already got who y'all said y'all wanted to get. I ain't trying to be caught up in this, so I'm not testifying, right?" And so at that point, the prosecution said, "We will give you immunity." Now, initially, my understanding is that she did not get full immunity, right? She got immunity enough to where basically there's different levels to immunity, right? But her immunity was basically like, "Look, we're not going to prosecute you for nothing you say on the stand today. Whatever you testify to right now, we will not use this against you or to press charges against you or anything like that," right? Thank you so much for buying badges. Thank y'all so much for the gifts and the donations. I appreciate y'all. Y'all, I appreciate y'all for sure. And I'm working on 3 different systems right now, so just bear with me, right? But yeah, so she basically got use immunity. Exactly. I think somebody said in the comments too. Yeah, use immunities, which means they can't use what she's saying right now. They can't use it against her. But her lawyer came back and was like, "That ain't good enough. That ain't good enough because we already know what kind of questions you're going to ask her. And so we're not going to play this game with you." So my understanding is that although they didn't give her like full blanket immunity, right? They told the judge, like, "Look, judge, we ain't finna bring no charges against her. We're going to go ahead and let her say what she needs to say." However, even with that, she still pled the fifth when it came down to the statement about who shot or Tory making a statement about, "Oh, I'm a shooter," or something to that effect. When you plead the fifth, you can only plead the fifth to something that has to do with you that may get you in trouble. Okay, you can't just go into, otherwise, when people are called to testify in cases, everybody could just get up there and be like, "I plead the fifth, and I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't talking to the police. I can't help none of y'all." That's not how it works. When you plead the fifth, that means whatever you may say could still potentially be used against you. To like, it could be cause you to get in trouble. Like you could be you be the next person in that defendant chair if it happened. And so she refused to answer questions with regards to what was said in terms of, "Oh, I'm finna shoot," or something like that. But yeah, it's over with. So Tory is facing up to 22 years in prison, as well as deportation. He'll be sentenced on January 27th. So it takes a while. The judge is going to review, the notes. He's going to review. I'm not sure if the judge was a male or a female. I believe it was a male. But the judge will review everything. He'll look at Tory's record, right? And he will decide what is fair, what a fair sentence is in his mind, based on the evidence, right? Based on what occurred, what he believes is an appropriate sentence for Tory. So Tory will find out his fate on January 27th. As of tonight, he is a Los Angeles County inmate. Someone said, if Tory was so innocent, why didn't his lawyers just throw Kelsey under the bus? I mean, I know we don't know everything due to the trickle of information. So boom, long story short story long, they did. Okay, the defense's argument was that Kelsey is the person who shot this gun. And things were reported were not necessarily what was stated. I agree with that. Everybody wasn't telling the truth. So let's just keep it a buck, right? People were coming out and reporting what happened in that courtroom. They were reporting it based on their own biases, right? Which is, I mean, that's how the media does, right? But when you have someone, you're hoping, right, that someone with an appropriate legal background, or at least an appropriate journalism background, will be neutral, right? But people chose sides in this case, right? This case was very heavy in the streets, right? It was a lot of public opinion about this particular trial. And it was a little confusing because we didn't really know what was going on, right? We had people that was missing, right? So people were saying that Meg's bodyguard was missing, and then come to find out in the middle of jury deliberations today, her bodyguard popped out. Right. So the message came out in the middle of jury deliberations. Her bodyguard pulled up and testified. Now, on that part, right, people was like, oh, he was missing. How come he didn't pull up? How come the prosecution didn't subpoena him? Why did it send him a subpoena and say you need to pull up, right? Because you're the one who received these text messages from Kelsey. And in order for us to bring these forth, bring them into court, right, without them being objected to as hearsay, we need you to come validate this. We need you to come validate what you received. I believe that Tory had his own personal driver. Somebody's asking about the driver. I do believe that it was Tory's driver. But I have a lot of questions, right? Because nobody came and told us, like, well, how did Meg end up getting to the hospital after she got shot? Did she get back in the car with the people she thought, like, shot her? Did everybody go in the back of the police car? Like, how did this work? There's so many questions, right? There's so many questions. And then when it comes to Kelsey, people are asking if she could be charged with perjury. Absolutely, she could. She could. If the district attorney decides they want to charge her with perjury, they could do that. Are they going to try their luck with that? We don't know. We don't know. He's facing up to 22 years. Yeah. So a lot of people are saying that Kelsey's testimony gave reasonable doubt. It did, but I think I think one of the major deciding factors in this case was, I think his name was Sean Kelly. Sean Kelly is, I guess he was a resident in the Hollywood Hills. That these people were in front of his house or around his home when this incident occurred. And what Sean Kelly came and testified to is that what Sean Kelly testified to was basically that he saw two women fighting, right? He saw two women fighting, and then some shots rang out. But what he said was the short guy was the person with the gun. And the jury asked the question, they asked for a readback. And a readback means basically they go back, because in every criminal trial, you have a court reporter, and the court reporter, word for word, she's typing word for word that everybody say, right? Which is why it's really, everything that happens in the courtroom is really strategic. You'll hear people say, for the record, right? For the record, can you do this for the record? Because we can't see what's going on. So the court reporter has to report all of that in her notes. So she is typing word for word. Thank you guys so much for the badges and the gifts and the donations. I really appreciate y'all. And so on the record, right? So they had everything on the record, right? So he came and testified that he saw a short man. he saw the short guy shoot. And so the jury asked for a read back of that. So when you do a read back, you go and read back the court reporter's notes. That was probably an indication that the jury, they was somewhere like, oh, okay, hold on, this ain't seeming right? Like something about save this live when you're done on here. Oh, okay, I will. Thank you. That means that the jury probably had it in their mind, like, hold on, what did he say, right? And the thing about Sean is he was the one witness who really didn't have a dog in the fight, right? He don't know these people from Adam. He was at home. My understanding is he had a family. He probably was trying to protect his family. You know, this is Hollywood Hills. Los Angeles is a lot of areas that can get a little ghetto, especially in Hollywood. But that part of Hollywood, they're not used to that kind of action out there. So he probably was looking like, what is going on? And you see all these Black people, right? All these Negroes that you ain't never seen around here. Thank y'all so much. And it's loud and people arguing and people are fighting. I believe that Sean's testimony was the testimony that probably was the straw that broke the camel's back, because prior to that, there was a lot of reasonable doubt, right? Nobody had placed that gun in Tory's hand, no, other than Megan, right? And a lot of people were apprehensive about Megan's testimony because they like, she been out here lying. Okay, sis, you lied and said you wasn't messing with him, right? You lied and said you didn't get shot, you had glass in your foot, right? You just lied. So we don't know if we believe you, right? That was one of the big things. But understand that Meg was like, that's their main witness. That is the victim. You know what I'm saying? But even still, people was not kind of really siding with Megan on this. And then it came down to it. Sean pulled up and said, I seen them girls outside scrapping. And when they was scrapping, seen the little man. I seen a little man shoot the gun. The little man is Tory. Sean put that gun in Tory's hand. That's all they needed. Now, Tory's family feels some type of way about Sean's testimony, and I'm finna tell y'all why. So, after the verdict was read, right, my understanding is it was extremely chaotic in that courtroom, as chaotic as it could be in a courtroom, because judges don't play that. And as a former JA, I didn't play that either. You wasn't going to be getting loud in my courtroom. You wasn't going to be talking to my judge no kind of way in my courtroom. Okay, if I say don't walk in the well without asking for permission to walk in my well, you walk around. That's what you do. I didn't play that type of stuff when I was a JA. I ran my courtroom with an iron fist. So depending on who the JA was, it was, you know, we can speculate on how crazy it got in there. But basically, Tory's dad was like, "Hey, peep gang, when Sean came in here, he our witness. He came in here. He didn't even talk to our lawyers, right? He didn't shake their hand. He was acting funny. Somebody said, "What's a JA?" Let me explain that. My bad, because y'all know I just be talking. So a JA is basically the clerk, right? So depending on what courtroom you are, there's normally two clerks. So there's a clerk that will like check you in. In a criminal courtroom, you normally don't have a clerk. You don't have a clerk, you have a sheriff, right? Because they bringing in inmates and this, that, and the third. But the judicial assistant, the JA, that's the person that sits right next to the judge. That's the person who like checks you in, right? They call the case. That's the person that reads the verdict. That's the person that's handing the notes and stuff. That is the person that has to manage all the evidence and stuff like that. So that's a judicial assistant. My bad. Yes, Sean was supposed to be the witness for the defense. However, what Tory's dad said after the fact is like, he didn't even speak to us. And so at that point, he was like, oh, what is going on here? Right? Like, I know you're not playing. I know you're not playing with us. And so Tory's dad feels some type of way about that, because now he like, what, like, before you even came, like before this whole situation, we didn't hear nothing about that stuff that you have been talking about before, which is very interesting to me, because if you're a defense attorney, right, if this was your witness, why you didn't prep your witness before they got on the stand, right? You're supposed to prep your witness and you're supposed to prep your witness and know what they're going to say before you put them on the stand, right? So for example, this happened in my brother's case. So in my brother's case, for example, the victim's brother was actually one of our witnesses, right? And so when the defense attorney went to go talk to the victim's brother right before he went to testify, he was acting funny. And so our defense attorney was like, he not saying the same stuff he had said when I talked to him the other day. So we're not going to put him on the stand, right? So my thing is like, well, what, like, did you not prep your witness? Or did you not talk to your witness before you got up there? Because what you don't want to do is get blindsided by a witness. And I truly believe they were blindsided. I do believe that the defense was blindsided by what that witness said when he got on the stand. I do not believe, because you would not call a witness to the stand that is going to say that your client had that gun when your argument this entire time has been that Kelsey was a shooter. And y'all was doing good. Y'all was doing good with pinning this shooting on Kelsey, putting the gun in Kelsey's hand, up until Sean came up and said, well, it was the little guy. It was the little guy, right? So part of the issue with trying to like break this apart is like, we don't really have everything that he testified to, right? So the different people that were in there, they gave us their versions of the story that they felt were appropriate. So we really don't know. You know, we don't know how deep they got into it, because you know me, I'm asking questions. Okay, so you sure it was a little man? So did you just see a short person or did you see a short man? Right? Okay, well, what did that man have on? Could you make out what he had on? Did you hear him say anything? Okay, well, where were the two women, right, when this happened? You know what I'm saying? I'm asking all kind of questions. Okay, well, have you ever wore glasses? Do you wear glasses? What's your vision like? Is it 20/20? Right? Because as an eyewitness is not always accurate. Like, eyewitness testimony is not always accurate, because as people, we don't really know what we're paying attention to until we realize what we need to pay attention to, right? And so you cannot take eyewitness testimony as God, because if a shooting pop out, right, and you weren't expecting that shooting to pop out, and a car speed by, you know what I'm saying, and it's a dark car, you may have thought you saw a black car, because just real quick, split second, right? Kind of find out the car was blue, right? But the next person who's seen the car drive by too, they're gonna be like, it was a burgundy car. So you have to be very specific. Like, you got to get into your eyewitness testimony and be like, okay, well, let's dig into this a little bit. Is your vision straight? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you sure? But what you do right after? Now, this was the other thing. Apparently, the detectives did I'm trying not to use foul language, but I'm going to tell you right now, LAPD, no disrespect, because my stepfather is a retired LAPD officer, but they be slipping sometimes. They be slipping on their pimping. And it sounds like the detectives that night didn't do everything they were supposed to do. First and foremost, they did not test that gun for Kelsey's DNA. Now, this is the one issue that I have with this verdict, is that apparently they did not find any male DNA on that weapon, right? Somebody said it was a Ring video. I don't know if they played it or if they could get to it or what happened. They should have been able to get to it on the cloud, but apparently they did not find Kelsey, or no, they didn't test Kelsey's DNA. Now, Kelsey had gunshot residue on her, right? Because she was in the car at the time that the shooting occurred, which to me is suspicious, because how was you in the car, but you and your homegirl was out the car fighting? Y'all was outside fighting. So that lets us know, oh, Kelsey and Meg had beef. Because if y'all were just outside of the car fighting, because if that's what that man saw, right? And Kelsey was outside fighting with Meg. If it was two women fighting, we know it was two women in the car. It's two women fighting, right? At least. And Kelsey, y'all was scrapping, and then Kelsey ended up back in the car, baby. That's suspicious to me. That's reasonable doubt to me if I'm a juror. Because I'm like, I thought you were saying you and Meg was cool. I thought y'all said the beef wasn't with you, the beef was with Tory. So sis, how you end up back in the car right when the guns ring out? Right? Why y'all didn't test Kelsey for DNA? Or why y'all didn't test that gun for Kelsey DNA? When y'all didn't find any male DNA on that weapon. That means somebody's DNA was on it, because somebody touched it. Right? Somebody's saying my bias is showing. No, I'm not being biased. I'm addressing all different sides of the case. That's all I'm saying. I don't have no dog in this fight. This ain't my case, and I'm not finna be dealing with y'all talking crazy to me because y'all know I'm a real one. But anyways, I'm not being biased. I'm asking multiple questions, right? Because again, I am pointing out where there is reasonable doubt. Now, another thing that we have here, right? What'd you say? Exactly. I'm just presenting the facts as I got them. I wasn't in the courtroom, right? So I don't know. Anything could have happened. But we didn't get all the information that we probably should have got, right? Nobody dug into that. Nobody dug into what the witness actually saw, what Sean actually saw, right? Okay. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Somebody said the diversity of the jury. So my understanding is that the jury was made up of, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was 7 women and 5 men. If I'm not mistaken, 7 women, 5 men. I do know there were 4 black jurors. Of the 4 black jurors, 2 were young, right? A young woman, a young man, and then an older black woman and an older black man, right? Yeah. So that was the makeup of the jury, right? So as far as the nationality of the other jurors, we don't know. But somebody touched that gun. So if you don't find male DNA on the gun, then you need to be figuring out whose DNA is on this gun. So I think that if this is true, LAPD dropped the ball on that in that sense, right? Again, everyone is like reasonable doubt. Now, this is another thing to me, and this is just me personally. Y'all did this right before Christmas. Right before Christmas, right? So for the last 2 weeks, these jurors have been sitting in trial right before Christmas. To me personally, that's dangerous for any defendant, especially when you have a case as messy as this, because I want to go home. And one thing I could tell you about juries are very unpredictable. Thank you, Simone. Christmas matters. The timing of this matters, in my opinion, because I want to go home as a juror. I want to shop for my family. Okay, I already don't want to be here, especially if I had to take off work. Not everybody's job pays you for jury duty. Okay, you have to find, and it is very hard to get out of jury duty. Like, people, you could sit there and say, I don't like the police all you want to. And my judge, when I used to work in the courtroom, my judge didn't care. He was like, okay, you don't have to like the police, but can you be fair? And he would press you. I have had people be like, I don't like the police. I don't care. I'm going to go against the police anyway. And my judge would be like, are you sure? Okay, well, what about this? What about this? So it is not easy to get out of jury duty, right? So now you have 2 weeks before Christmas. People already struggling, especially in Los Angeles County. Okay, people, not every job will pay you to do jury duty. They don't pay you but 15 cents on the dollar to do jury duty. Okay, so you're not making your money back. You got to find, somewhere for your kids to go. If you got kids, you got to figure out who's gonna feed your husband. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got no car, you got to figure out how you gonna get to court every day, right? It's so many factors that went into this. However, this outside stuff, anything outside of the courtroom, you're gonna have to bring that up on a habeas, baby, because you're not gonna be able to argue that in an appeal. In an appeal, only thing you could argue is my constitutional rights was violated, right? Y'all picked a biased jury, and you better hope your lawyer objected to stuff, because if it ain't no objection on the record, don't be trying to argue that. Don't be trying to argue that, because the court ain't gonna have it. They're gonna be like, oh, okay, well, that wasn't on the record. So when it comes to him filing an appeal, it is going to take appeals are lengthy. Okay. You don't file an appeal and think you just going to challenge the sentence. Or challenge the evidence. Allowing the entire Kelsey video. Oh, well, see, that's going to be a thing. And honestly, and Simone, I know you're actually an attorney, right? I still got one more semester left of law school, but I didn't settle enough criminal trials, right? But I would ask you this too, like the fact that it sounds like the bodyguard came and testified in the middle of jury deliberations. I'm wondering if that's an appealable issue, right? Like to me, I would be like, hold on, case was closed. We didn't did our closing arguments, right? Like we didn't did that part. So what is he pulling up for? We never heard from Kylie. I don't think we heard from Kylie because for the most part, Kylie probably would have just been able to testify to like a character witness more so, to say the least, right? To testify to how drunk were these people, right? Because mind you, alcohol is a big factor in this entire case. So with Kylie, what you want to know is like how drunk was everybody, when this whole thing went down? Because you're asking people who have been drinking alcohol, partying, this, that, and the third, you're asking them to tell you what happened during this event. And I don't know about you, but like, have y'all ever been drunk? You didn't party? And then you be like, oh, I thought that's what would happen. But then you run it back, you go see the video you took that night, and you be like, oh, that's not what had happened when I was out there kicking on. I thought I reacted like this. But then you go back and see your Instagram story and you be like, oh, I did that. Oh, right. So again, that's kind of like what Kelsey, right? Changing her statement and being like, I don't know why I said that. I don't know why that happened. I don't know. That's girl, because you was lit. But how lit were you? How much did you drink? What did you drink? Right. Let me see. The fact that the prosecution asked for a whole week delay and that was the reason defense chose not to call him is interesting. Not sure how that would be evaluated on appeal. Right. That too. That delay, right? I would argue that. I would you violating. That's not due process. We weren't prepared for that. What happened? So it sounds like he did testify though. Will they be able to bring up his pattern of violence up during sentencing? No, it's not really relevant to this. It's not relevant. Didn't Kelsey say if the short man fired in the air? No, I don't think Kelsey said that. I'm pretty sure Sean said that. Thank you. Someone said, I love how you break it down. Thank you. But yeah, so if there was no DNA on the gun, how was he found guilty though? That has me confused. Okay, well, it's easy because if I had the gun and before I got out the car, I knew this was going to happen, I'm wiping the gun off. So just because you didn't find my DNA on the gun don't mean that I didn't touch it. It just means I got to it before you did. You see people, y'all watch movies. It happens all the time, right? You see you didn't touch the weapon or you touched the door or somebody done broke in your house. What they do, they wipe everything down so they can't get the print, right? Because they need a full print to be able to do an analysis, right? So I'm wiping it down. You ain't finna catch me. You ain't finna catch me slipping. And the gun wasn't registered. Now in sentencing, they can bring up old convictions and his pending case. Okay, so I guess Simone is she's an actual lawyer, so they can bring up. So I thought it's only if he has already, like, if he's already been convicted of something. Can they bring up pending though, like pending stuff in his sentencing? Because I thought they couldn't do that. Thank you, Isaac. Whose gun was it? We don't know. My understanding is that they never clarified whose gun it was. Some people were saying that it was alluded that it was Tory's driver's gun, right? But it sounds like, and if my gun is unregistered and it got some kind of body on it or a situation on it, I'm not claiming that. Why would I claim that? If I wanted to claim the gun, I would have registered it. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's what I thought. If you have been convicted of a previous crime or, something like that, you didn't plead guilty or something, then they can use that against you. Thank you, Isaac. But if it's something pending, they're not going to use that against him. Oh, thank you. My necklace. Yeah, my little Tiffany charms. Thank you. Was Tory not taking the stand a mistake? So you're always running a risk when a defendant goes to testify, right? Because you don't know Thank you guys so much for buying badges and sending gifts and stuff like that. I really appreciate y'all. You don't know how the prosecution is going to attack your client, the defendant. And you may get up there and say something you don't mean to say. I'm telling you, a lot of people struggle with public speaking, right? Tory ain't coming back to America after this. People struggle with public speaking. Imagine your entire life, right? Your life, your freedom being on the line, and some stranger who don't like you and want to see you go to jail is pressing you in front of 12, 14, 16 people you don't know, right? You might say something you ain't got no business saying, or prosecutors, especially if they a good one, they may trip you up. Got no business saying, because your lawyer can't save you at that point, right? They could try to during redirect, they could try to clean it up or whatever the case may be. But if you mess around and say something that the jury hear that they ain't got no business hearing, so a lot of times defendants do not testify. Now the reality is that juries want to hear from defendants, right? Because they want to hear your side of the story, right? Most jurors don't understand how the legal process works, right? They just know it's some stories being told, and how come everybody but you is telling your story? Why you don't just come up here and tell us your story yourself, right? Why don't you do that? But the reality is, because I don't want the prosecution to ask me a question that I don't want to answer, right? I don't want them to ask me something and then I don't have the right response after that, right? Like, you tripped me up and I didn't say something I didn't mean to say, and it's not necessarily true, but the way you get me to answer that question, now the jury looking at me funny, like, we knew it was you. So it depends. You weigh your options. They would have asked him whose gun it was. They would have asked him, if I'm a prosecutor, I'm asking you, whose gun was it? Okay, well, if you didn't shoot, who shot? Kelsey shot? Okay. Well, why you didn't do nothing with Kelsey shot? Why you didn't stop Kelsey from shooting? Right? Now, I do think that the funny thing in this entire situation is that Kelsey got immunity, right? Kelsey got immunity. And I heard some commentators bringing up the fact, like, well, how come they didn't charge him with attempted murder? Because I have seen people shoot guns in the air, get 25 to life for shooting a gun in the air for attempted murder. So that was kind of brought up too. But I think that at the end of the day, that would have opened up a whole can of worms that nobody really wanted to deal with, if I'm being honest. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I don't know. Didn't she like Kelsey? I don't know. People's stories change all the time, right? You remember something one day, you don't remember it the next day. Mind you, this was 2 years ago. Okay. This is 2 years ago. 2 years ago. This happened 2 years ago, and they were intoxicated. And it sounded like they was extremely intoxicated, like they was drunk. And these are young people, okay? These are young people. They are in their 20s. Right? Now, as grown as these folks look, they in their 20s. Paige asks, would I be disqualified from a jury because of Joe? I don't think so. It depends on what trial you're on, and I don't think it would disqualify you. But if I'm a prosecutor and you have a loved one who's incarcerated and you don't feel like they should be incarcerated, I'm kicking you off my jury. Goodbye. Honestly. So I'm be like, they not finna rock with me. There was an assault charge. He was convicted of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. So that's the same as like assault with a deadly weapon. The only thing is, a deadly weapon can be anything. A deadly weapon can be your foot. A deadly weapon can be your hand, right? In this case, it was the firearm. Wait, why they wait so long to go to trial? Wasn't it supposed to be in the first year? So you never. So with trials, they can happen at any time, right? So when the case is charged and the DA files the charging paperwork, files the complaint and say, hey, we're going to bring this person to court, right? We're going to arrest them and we're going to have we're going to see if this goes to trial. There's a lot that goes into that, right? So you have preliminary hearings, you have investigations, there are motion hearings, right? And then depending on what court you're in, trials get pushed back a lot. And for example, in my brother's case, like his second trial got pushed back like a year, right? Because sometimes there's conflicts, right? Attorneys, be it the defense attorney or the prosecuting attorney, may have another case that they're working on, right? And they can't quite show up for trial at that time. Maybe the judge has some his calendar may not be available or whatever the case may be, so they may have to move it back. So there's a lot of different reasons why a trial may take long to come. But, you have, again, like I said, investigations and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Right. And courts are still catching up from COVID too. They ain't never going to catch up. I'm telling you right now, courts was behind before COVID. So COVID is an excuse. I'm being honest with you. I worked for the court in 2015. Courts was behind before that. So the court's been behind. They're going to always be behind. So there's a lot of different reasons why the case took so long to go to trial. But that sentencing not going to take that long. On January 27th. Yeah. So, yeah, there's so much we didn't see or hear that the jury had access to. That is true. There is a lot that we didn't see or hear. I think what we got from the outside, right, is like the main points that people felt like kind of stuck with them. So, there's we didn't get the full testimony of the detectives in the case, right? I think there was 2 detectives that testified in the case. I already mentioned this, but I'm going to say it one more time because I know a lot of people don't understand how appeals work. You are appealing that your constitutional rights were violated during the trial. Your due process right was violated, right? The judge didn't rule on a motion properly. Some evidence came in that shouldn't have been brought in, right? That is what you are appealing. Is the full court transcript available now? Likely not. It normally takes a while. So the full transcripts probably aren't ready yet. It just depends on the court reporter. And the witness brought by the defense also said he got out and joined in. I don't know what that means. Do you think they're going to get Kelsey for? I don't know. Yeah, an appeal it's not that easy. But the witness said he saw a girl go to the car and he saw that the girl shot first. Even if they shot first, so the issue in this case is that and this is where the court of public opinion becomes sort of an issue, right? Because trials are very strict in the procedure and how they go down. The issue in this case was not who shot Meg, not whether Meg was shot. It was, did Tory shoot Meg, right? So that doesn't negate the fact that maybe there was another person who participated, right? Because Kelsey got immunity and Kelsey pled the fifth when it came to statements about shooting, right? But the issue in this case was, did Tory Daystar Peterson, did he shoot Megan? And I believe that when Sean came and said, I saw the short man shoot, that sealed Tory's fate. In addition to that, I think that, again, he was the defense's witness, is my understanding. As a defense attorney, I would have talked to him and been like, okay, let's go over your testimony real quick. So you said you saw what? Because why you didn't tell me ahead of time that you saw him shoot? Because I'm not going to bring you on. If the prosecution didn't call you and bring you on to testify to that, I'm not going to call nobody that's going to say my client had that gun in their hand. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. And quite frankly, I am If I'm an appellate attorney, honestly, I'm arguing ineffective assistance of counsel if that happened. Because how do you justify calling, and again, we're getting this from the outside looking in, right? We're getting this from the outside looking in. Some of the stuff that we're hearing may or may not be true, right? I'm going off the things that I've been able to see and kind of putting pieces of the puzzle together from different sources. But I'm arguing, in my appeal, I'm arguing ineffective assistance of counsel because no, you did not. No, you did not bring somebody on the stand to testify that I shot the gun and you're supposed to be defending me. What was you thinking? That was not our strategy. Our strategy was, oh, girl shot the gun. Okay. Why do you think they told Jaquan, the driver, not to testify? You don't really tell someone not to testify. You just decide whether you want them to testify or not, and whether what they have to say is relevant. Because Jaquan could be like, I don't know. Jaquan could be like, it was crazy. I was just sitting in the car. I was texting my baby mama. I was scrolling on Instagram, and the next thing I know, shots rang out. Right? So there's a lot of reasons. Why wasn't he called? I don't know. But again, it goes down to strategy. But I think what a lot of people are concerned about in this case is like, it was reasonable doubt. And so I guess it goes to say like, well, what is reasonable doubt to you? And again, like I said, 2 days before Christmas, mm-mm, mm-mm. I just don't think that was smart. I'll be honest with you. I don't think that's smart for any defendant, especially with something this messy, especially with a case that's so inconsistent. Yeah, I think the verdict is what the verdict is. I don't have an opinion on the verdict because I didn't hear all the evidence. The only thing I can do is speak from what I was able to gather. And yeah, that's all I can say. Like, I don't have an opinion because I would have to hear all the evidence. I would want to hear what the oh, the battery on his last leg. Thanks for letting me know. Let me turn it. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I might have to get back in. We might have to switch it up. It's okay. It's gonna survive for now. And if it don't survive, we'll figure it out. Okay? Sorry about that, y'all. But yeah, I don't know. And even what you've spoken on shows how biased a lot of news has been. A lot of the information that has been shared has been fairly biased. I will say that. I agree. It's been pretty biased. It's been pretty biased. Yeah. Yeah. It's been biased. But at the same time, on top of that, why does it look like this? I'm gonna turn this off because I don't like how it's showing up on here, honestly. I don't even know y'all could see that like that. That is raggedy. I'm sorry. Mm-mm. Hold on. I'm gonna have to. I don't like that. It's okay. I'm not even about to deal with it right now because I'm gonna do something I ain't got no business doing. As a juror, they were drunk and being messy. I'm ready to go home. Yes. Thank you. Y'all, I live in Los Angeles. There's always police outside. I live in the projects. There's always police outside. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. I didn't even know y'all could see that like that. I don't even know how to fix it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just got this camera, so I'm gonna have to fix it later because I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I don't know. People call me biased. I don't care. I'm not sure who I'm being biased towards. I'm just telling y'all from what I've seen. People say that public opinion played a major part, perhaps, but jurors aren't supposed to be listening to public opinion. They're supposed to be listening to what's happening in the courtroom. So if you are making your decision based on public opinion, you out of lines, you out of bounds. And I'm asking you questions about that. How would I rate the complexity of this trial? No, the jury wasn't sequestered. I just I don't know how complex I would say it was. I just think that it seemed for this to have happened 2 years ago, it just seemed like people weren't prepared to try the case, if that makes sense. Like, people just weren't prepared. And that's the part that's sticking with me. Somebody said, can you appeal the jury operating on public opinion? You got to prove that. How often do appeals flip a trial? I have no idea. I have no clue. I have no clue. To have the bug. I did not. I didn't mean to have that. I don't even know how that got there. I don't know how to fix it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry y'all had to see that. I didn't even know y'all could see it. Y'all, this is like my second time going live on YouTube, and I tried something new, so that's what I get. Should have just stuck to what I knew, but I didn't, because my computer be acting funny sometimes. It be all dark, so my bad, y'all. But I will upload the live. I went live on TikTok and Instagram, so I will upload the live from TikTok and Instagram so you guys can see it better. I didn't know y'all saw all my business, so my bad, y'all. I'll learn next time. Yes, sir. And if the defense was not prepared, then the jury did go towards the way of what was shown in court. It sounded like both sides wasn't compared. Oh yeah, no, I'm on YouTube. I got one phone on Instagram, the camera on YouTube, and then y'all on TikTok, because y'all be playing too much, and then y'all be getting mad at me. So I tried to get everybody involved today. I didn't want to get in trouble. No, I didn't. I'm sorry that y'all see me like this. I'm gonna figure out how to fix it next time, though. Maybe I don't know. Yeah. So, anyways, that's where we are with this, y'all. Was this a surprising ruling? There was no ruling. The verdict. A lot of people seem surprised, especially Tory Daddy. Tory Daddy seemed like he was surprised. And it sounds like Tory was very stoic when the verdict was read. You know, he didn't say nothing. If I'm 5'7", getting ready to go to a Los Angeles County jail, Was Meg required to prosecute Tory? Megan didn't prosecute Tory. The district attorney, the deputy district attorney prosecuted him. Meg is not a lawyer. So it was the Los Angeles County's decision on whether they were going to file charges, and they filed charges. I'm so sorry y'all see this. I'm so sorry, YouTube. And I want to like log out and log back in. I'm going to do that. I'm going to log out. I'm going to end this stream for YouTube, and I'm going to log back in from my computer. So y'all don't have to see this, because this is ghetto and I hate it. So sorry, y'all. Why am I shaking? Because I have ADHD and I'm beginning, like, I just shake. What are the chances of winning an appeal? It depends on what their issues are that are appealable. It depends on the appealable issues.